Hi there. I hope that the sound is okay and the picture is okay. I'm not saying that the guy in the picture is okay. I'm just saying, Anyway, it's nice to be with you this afternoon. I really felt that I needed to get on here and do something live because I've spent the last, since the story broke at around 5 o'clock yesterday afternoon about this initiative petition. And the first thing that I need to say before you ask any questions or anything, I need to make sure you understand what we're talking about. I'm holding the language right here. This is a citizens petition initiative for a ballot measure. So I'm going to, without his permission, I'm going to quote from Kevin Starrett at Oregon Firearms Federation. He said, Bill, I've received 300 or 400 emails on this thing, and half of them are saying, that darn legislature, that darn Kate Brown, that darn blah, blah, blah. This is not legislation. I hope you're understanding me, and I hope you're hearing me. This is not legislation. The legislature has nothing to do with this. The governor has nothing to do with this. We can like or we can hate the governor. We can like or we can hate the legislature. They have nothing to do with this. This is the same as, I'm going to give an example, ballot measure 91 back in 2014, the marijuana ballot measure. Citizens initiative. You and me can do a citizens initiative. Earlier this last summer, Representative Mike Neerman and I and others were petitioners for repealing SB 719. We were citizens doing an initiative petition drive to overturn, in this case, to get on the ballot to overturn 719. We did not get the 88,000 signatures that we needed. That's what this group is. So please, please, please. I know some people are getting hysterical, but make sure you're hysterical in the right way, okay? To be hysterical at the right people. And the people are the chief petitioners of this ballot measure. And I'm sorry, I know you're writing questions to me and you're saying things. Can you just hold off on typing till I get done explaining a few things first? Okay, so one, it's not a bill. It wasn't passed by the legislature. The legislature had nothing to do with it. This was some pastors and a rabbi up in Portland that put this together. I have the 5 pages or 6 pages right here in front of me, so I want to go through a couple of things, but I want to make sure you're very clear on this. This is not the legislature. It's not the government coming to get your guns. It would be if it goes through the process. Now, here's the process. First, the language that you have seen either online or you've got an email from Kevin Starrett or wherever you may have seen it. The language was written by the chief petitioners or a lawyer that they hired or whatever. It was not written by the Attorney General's office. It was not written by the Secretary of State's office. I have called both those offices and they have nothing to do with this. All they're waiting on is the first round, which is if 1,000 people sign the petition to get this to a petition. And I'm trying to do this as simplistic as I possibly can. If they get 1,000 signatures, those signatures, once they're verified, then it becomes an initiative petition, and they have to go out and get 88,000 signatures to get it on the ballot. So you with me so far? So they have to get 1,000 to make this official. And at that point, the Attorney General, the Secretary of State steps in and they read this and they say, well, this is great, or no, this doesn't pass muster. It needs to be changed here and here and here, or the whole thing gets thrown out. That can still happen after the 1,000 signatures. Well, let's say everything's copacetic and everything moves forward. They still have to get 88,000 signatures before it can then be cleared again by the Secretary of State's office. And that means every signature has to be a valid voter. It has to be a valid signature. For those of you who have worked on ballot measures before, it's like a 92% fail rate. But again, I'm going to be devil's advocate. Let's say it goes through all of that and it goes to the ballot in November. You don't think this will get out the vote? You don't think people are going to get out like crazy? Okay, hang on. Isn't there a rule about citizens initiative that will render the signatures invalid and useless if signed multiple times with the same? Yes. So Sani Adam, yes, that's what I was talking about earlier. The 88,000 have to be verified by the Secretary of State. That's why we always, right now, we've got several petitions out there that we're working on. the Stop Taxpayer Funding of Abortions. There's the Stop the Sanctuary State. There's a lot of other ones. If they're constitutional changes, they have to get 117,000 signatures. If they're just a ballot measure, they have to get 88,000. And you really have to gather about 100 to 115,000 for that to make sure that the bad ones that get tossed out get you back down to 88. Does that make sense? Okay. If this language were to pass as is, I don't think it passes muster constitutionally. For one thing, how does the state police override, say, ATF? Okay, so there's all kinds of holes in this thing, but I want to point out a couple of things that I think are interesting. If you haven't read this language, it's on this Facebook page. In the article from the Statesman Journal, Zach Ernest is the reporter that I talked with last night and oh, by the way, Jason says, and Multnomah County will dictate the results of the vote if it makes it to the vote. Not even close. No. Quit going with that. Multnomah County runs everything. No, if lazy people would get off their butts and vote in the rest of Oregon, would you like me to show you voter turnout in the rest of Oregon? You know what the difference is? Multnomah County gets out and votes. So quit blaming our troubles on Multnomah County. That really ticks me off because it's not true. Do you know that Kate Brown won in 2016 with 51% of the vote? That's a majority, 51%. If you were a Democrat, wouldn't you like that to be more like 60%? So if Multnomah County ran the state, she would have won by 56 or 58 or 61%. She did not. She won by 51%. So don't fall back on the Multnomah County thing. Multnomah County doesn't make it happen. The rest of Oregon sitting it out because, oh gosh, it's not my candidate. Oh gosh, it's not my issue. Oh, I have more important things to do. I've got to take the kids to soccer game. Stop. Okay. Mickey, I got the point you're making, Bill, and I'd like to think you're right. Unfortunately, and historically, conservative voters have been lazy and uninformed in Oregon. This will buy opposition for this. Yeah. And the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals has nothing to do with this. Nope, that's out. Clackamas County had the lowest voter turnout of the entire state. Shameful. Thank you, Darlene. My point made right there. Clackamas County is not a Democrat-dominated county. It did not get out the vote. Republicans are not getting out the vote. That's the problem. But let's stick back to this. So let me answer your questions about this. By the way, Multnomah County voted yes on Measure 88. Thank you, Reagan. That was the driver's card. Multnomah County voted yes, and the rest of the state voted no, and it was defeated by 68 to 32, something like that. So again, don't blame Multnomah County. Everybody in Multnomah County can vote, and we can still beat them. Okay, it's been proven. Ballot Measure 88. So anyway, I think if this gets to the ballot, this is going to be one of the greatest Republican voter turnout issues that ever happened, because Democrats, independents, non-affiliated, Republicans, they're all going to go bananas and they're going to want to vote. And that's going to help everybody else on the ballot. So by the way, if you're not a registered Republican right now, it's time for you to get registered as a Republican. Okay, yeah, Donald Trump could learn from me. You kidding me? I was doing it before he was around. Come on. Anyway, all right, so it talks about what assault weapons are. And Joshua, you got it right. We do not need to rally. We do not need to rally. We need to rally right here on this, the computer, the internet, and your phone, and your email, and your letters. Here's what you tell people. If you see a petition to sign and it says IP42 on it, don't sign it. There, that's what you tell everybody. Don't sign it. Don't sign it. Don't sign IP42. And then it never gets the signatures it needs. That's the way you stop this. You want to stop it? Stop it right now. Don't sign IP42. All right, I want to point out a couple of things. If this were to get to the ballot, that's a big if, okay? If this were to get to the ballot, I want to show you a couple of things. This is a Ruger LC9, okay, with a 7-shot magazine. All right. It says in there if it can hold 10 rounds of ammunition or more, then it's out. Okay. So apparently this one would be legal, but when I put the 10-shot one in, it would not be legal. Yeah. Okay. Here's another one. It talks about shotguns. So here's my shotgun. It has the dreaded pistol grip. It's a pistol grip. That makes it an assault weapon. Okay. I mean, I know people I know most of you understand that I'm mocking. This is now an assault weapon because it has a pistol grip. Oof. This is a much more lethal shotgun with the pistol grip than without. See how it looks? See? Can't you see that that's more lethal? Okay, we're dealing with fools here. All right, so what do? Again, read the language. There is one inconsistency that I found. There's about 10 I found, but one that really stands out. This is really more than a confiscation, and as seriously horrible as confiscation is, this is registration. Because Section 5 says, any person seeking to register an assault weapon or large capacity magazine with the department, that's the State Department of Police, shall do as provided in the section within 120 days after the effective date of this act. So it's registration. Now, there is a mistake that was made that says that military and state employees, et cetera, are exempt. That is not true. Military and police personal use are not exempt. They must register. But this talks about registration for everybody when it comes to the descriptions within this language of what an assault weapon is. So, look, there's reason to be concerned about this, absolutely. But let me go back to the beginning of this video again. I can't believe that at age 57 and a half, I'm still giving civics lessons to people who are older than me and younger than me. But that's because we haven't taught civics in Oregon for, 40 years. Civics 101. This is not a bill. This is not legislation. This is not Democrats. This is not Republicans. This is not the governor. This is not the governor. This is a group of pastors and a rabbi. And by the way, let me point out something very important that Kevin Starrett said in a newspaper article today. I think it was a great quote. A rabbi. You talk about not knowing civics. How about not knowing history? I would like to ask the rabbi a question. How did gun confiscation go in Germany about 80 years ago? He's forgotten his history, hasn't he? But I'll let that go. This is not a bill. So please don't post on Facebook and Twitter and all over the place. There's a bill to take away my guns. There's no bill. There is a citizens initiative petition. That means you, me, anybody can do this. But it has about a 92% fail rate of getting to the ballot just to get the 88,000 signatures. So I hope that helps. Because there's a lot of misinformation. And like I said, Kevin Starrett's getting emails from people and they're saying, there's a bill to take away my gun. The legislature, the Kate Brown is trying to, no. Yeah, they might be, but they're not right now. This is not what this is a couple of pastors and a rabbi in Portland. It was in the news last week. It's just that yesterday the actual language came out. Now that we know what the language says, and by the way, this is full of holes. There's all kinds of mistakes in here. Of course it doesn't pass constitutional muster. Of course it's absolutely ludicrous. There's a couple of things you need to know. One, there's no money behind this. And by the way, if you go to the Secretary of State site, you can see who the chief petitioners are. You can see their names, their phone numbers, and their addresses. And you can see that they check the box that they're not going to use paid petitioners. That tells me a lot that I need to know. This is political strategy here. If you check the box that says, I'll not be paying people, what that means is you don't have big money backing you. So people who are saying, oh, Bloomberg's going to come in with $20 million and pay for this. No, he's not. This is just being done by some people up in Portland who are going, oh, we have to do something. How about we do something? Here's what we do. No, actually, I'm not going to tell you. Sorry. I am working right now with people from across the aisle and both sides of the chambers of the Oregon legislature, along with some outside groups that I think are very smart people. We're working on something right now that I think would address the school safety issues. I can't tell you what it is yet, because if I do, it might disrupt the negotiations that are being done right now. And I mean that in a very good way, in a very serious way. I don't want to blow anything, but come 2019, should I be reelected, I think that we'll have legislation that would protect our kids in the schools. And I can't tell you anymore. I wish I could, but it's really good stuff. And I think both Democrats and Republicans will like this. And that's why I pointed out in an earlier article here on my Facebook page that you've noticed that Democrats have not really jumped on this ballot measure initiative petition. Why? Because they know this is crazy stuff. One. Two, they know that the odds of it getting to the ballot are slim. And three, if it did get to the ballot, this would mean their doom because the voter turnout for our side would be massive. Okay? So I hope this has helped a little bit today. I tried to give as much information I can. If you just joined me or you came in late, go back and it'll be stored here in just a little bit. You can go back and watch the whole thing. I'm sorry it took longer than I thought it was going to. It was 15 minutes. But I felt it was really important to address some things. So here's what you do to stop this. Do not sign any petition that says IP42. Don't sign it. Tell all of your friends, use your email list, your complete email address list. Use your mailing address list. Use your phone list. Everybody that you know, say, hey, if you see somebody standing on a corner at Fred Meyer or whatever holding a petition and it says IP42, do not sign it. That's how you stop this thing. All right? I hope that helps. Have a great day. It's wonderful talking to you. I like doing these, and I hope that you enjoyed it. It was helpful.